Most people think doing their best means being perfect, never failing, never slipping, always producing flawless results. But that mindset destroys growth and creates constant anxiety. The truth is, doing your best has nothing to do with how things look on the outside. It's about the energy, presence, and intention you bring when no one's watching. It's what you commit to in silence, what you sacrifice in private, and what you repeat when motivation disappears. It's not about being better than others, it's about refusing to betray your own potential. Your best isn't something you tap into by accident, it's something you prepare for, build toward, and show up for relentlessly. And when you finally understand that your best isn't tied to praise, applause, or perfection, you unlock a level of power that can't be taken from you. This video will break down the mindset, discipline, and systems required to actually live at your highest level, not just for one day, but for a lifetime, because your best doesn't happen by chance. It happens by choice. Most people go through life saying they want to do their best without ever stopping to define what that actually means for them. And that's the first mistake, because if you don't define it, you'll always be chasing someone else's version of success while feeling like you're falling short of your own. Doing your best isn't about chasing perfection, over-delivering until you collapse, or earning validation from others. It's about aligning your actions with your highest inner standard, even when no one is watching. Even when no one will reward you for it. It means choosing effort over excuses, alignment over applause, and precision over pride. But the reason most people never truly tap into their best isn't because they're lazy, it's because they're unclear. Clarity is the first condition of power. When you don't know what your best looks like, you fall into two traps. Either you burn yourself out trying to meet everyone else's expectations, or you underperform because you've never learned to hold yourself to something greater. Your best changes depending on the day, but your standard should never fluctuate based on comfort. Doing your best is about knowing what's required in the moment and doing it anyway, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's inconvenient, even if it won't be recognized. And more importantly, it's about detaching your best from outcomes, because if your definition of your best is based on whether it worked, whether it was appreciated, or whether it brought results, then you'll always be at the mercy of external approval. True power is found in internal congruence, when your actions match your values, when your effort matches your ability, and when your presence is so grounded that no one can accuse you of holding back. Your best doesn't need to be proven. It needs to be lived. And the only person who can measure it is the one who stares back at you when everything's quiet. Define it, own it, and hold yourself to it. Because the moment you do, you start operating from a place where excellence isn't an act, it's who you are. Doing your best will never be possible if you're constantly under attack from three enemies that sabotage your potential from the inside out: distraction, doubt, and delay. These are the quiet assassins that don't make noise but destroy your momentum slowly, leaving you stuck in cycles of overthinking and underperforming. Distraction pulls your attention toward everything except what matters. It convinces you to scroll when you should focus, to multitask when you should go deep, to respond to everyone else's chaos while ignoring your own priorities. Doubt is more dangerous. It lives in your mind disguised as realism, whispering that you're not ready, that you'll mess up, that what you're doing isn't enough. And delay is the final dagger. It's the voice that says, "Not today, maybe later," or "I'll start when I feel more motivated." But here's the truth. None of these enemies show up with guns blazing. They show up as comfort, as safety, as reasonable logic. And if you don't expose them for what they are, they'll shape your life by default. To do your best, you have to develop a zero-tolerance policy for anything that fragments your focus, weakens your confidence, or delays your execution. That means setting boundaries that feel uncomfortable. It means building rituals that protect your attention. It means replacing doubt with evidence, reminding yourself of every time you showed up when it was hard, when it didn't feel good, when you had every excuse not to. It means taking action before you feel ready. Because if you wait to feel confident, you'll never move. Your best work is buried underneath the noise you haven't yet silenced. That's why this stage is about purging the mental clutter, cutting out the people, patterns, and distractions that drain you, and replacing them with environments that reward discipline, not just talent. You can have the deepest potential in the world, but if you don't protect it from distraction, if you don't fortify it against doubt, if you don't act before delay becomes habit, you'll never touch it. Eliminate these enemies, and you clear the path to become unstoppable. Most people try to do their best by pushing harder in the moment, but the real secret is creating systems that eliminate the need for decision-making when it matters most. Doing your best doesn't come from last-minute effort, it comes from pre-built structure. It's not about sudden intensity, it's about consistent architecture that sets you up to win long before the battle starts. Every high performer, whether it's an elite athlete, military strategist, or disciplined artist, relies on systems, not mood. Systems are the invisible force behind your output. They are the routines you follow when motivation disappears, the preparation you do when no one's watching, the calendar that keeps you honest, and the habits that make effort automatic. Most people rely on emotion to activate performance, but when your mind is disciplined and your structure is tight, you don't need to feel like doing it. You just do it. This is how you weaponize your environment instead of being a victim of it, by removing friction from the right actions and increasing resistance to the wrong ones. You lay out your priorities the night before. You set your phone across the room. You schedule deep work when your mind is sharpest. You design your day like a battlefield, with strategy, intention, and no room for weakness. And when things go off track, as they will, your systems will catch you. Because if you only do your best when life is perfect, you'll rarely do your best at all. But when you've engineered a system that locks in your focus, automates your habits, and protects your energy, you become consistent. And consistency, not intensity, is what separates amateurs from masters. You don't need to be superhuman to perform at your best. You just need a structure that refuses to let your lowest self take the wheel. Build it, adjust it, refine it. Because when the storm hits, the person with the strongest system, not the loudest motivation, is the one who stands tall. Most people think doing their best is about grinding non-stop, but true excellence is never built on burnout. It's built on recovery, rhythm, and restraint. There's a dangerous illusion that if you're not exhausted, you're not working hard enough, but all that does is create a cycle where your nervous system is fried, your decision-making is weak, and your passion turns into resentment. To truly do your best, you have to learn to manage your energy like a master, not just your time. That means knowing when to push and when to pause. It means building recovery into your schedule with the same respect you give to action. It means understanding that fatigue isn't weakness, it's feedback. Even the most elite warriors train in cycles. Sprinters don't sprint all day. Fighters don't spar every hour. Chess masters don't study tactics without stepping away to reflect. The best don't always go hard. They know exactly when to go hard. That's the rhythm that separates high achievers from self-destructive hustlers. You have to treat your energy like a currency. If you spend it on everything, you'll have nothing left when it counts. But if you invest it wisely into the right habits, the right people, the right work, you'll multiply your power, protect your mornings, defend your focus, nourish your mind, guard your sleep, and most of all, stop wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. It's not noble to run on empty, it's reckless. Your best self is not born in chaos, it's forged in clarity, strengthened through cycles of action and recovery, and unleashed only when your body and mind are aligned. When you learn to control your rhythm, you start showing up with sharpness, not just effort, with clarity, not just brute force. And that's when your best becomes unstoppable, because it's no longer tied to adrenaline, it's built on mastery. The fifth pillar of doing your best is detachment from outcome, because the moment you tie your sense of self-worth to the result, you sabotage your performance before you even begin. When your identity is fused with winning, with validation, with applause, your actions stop being driven by purpose and start being ruled by fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. And fear destroys precision. It makes you hesitate, second-guess, overthink, and abandon the very instincts that make you powerful. But when you detach from the outcome, when you stop obsessing over whether it will work and focus only on executing your process with full presence, you unlock a flow state where performance is pure, Think about the elite striker who doesn't look at the scoreboard, only the ball. The archer who releases the arrow without worrying about the applause. The writer who pours their soul onto the page without checking likes or shares. That is detachment, not apathy, but emotional discipline. You still care deeply, but you refuse to let your value rise and fall with the result. This is how you protect your best effort from emotional sabotage. You focus on what you can control, your craft, your execution, your integrity, and let the rest take care of itself. You don't shrink when things go wrong, because your identity was never built on the win. And paradoxically, when you stop needing the result, your chances of achieving it actually increase, because your mind is no longer clouded by fear. Detachment is a form of power. It's the decision to be so grounded in your process that external failure cannot shake your internal standard. And when you operate from that place, every move you make carries weight, not because of who's watching, but because of who you've decided to become. That's when doing your best becomes who you are, not just what you do. The final element of doing your best is accountability. Because no matter how clear your vision, how sharp your systems, or how disciplined your mind becomes, if there is no one or nothing holding you to your standard, comfort will eventually creep back in. We're not wired to sustain intensity without friction, and without pressure, performance dies. Accountability is the pressure that sharpens your edge. It forces clarity when your emotions are cloudy and calls out your weakness when excuses start sounding like logic. But the highest form of accountability isn't external, it's internal. It's not needing someone to check on you because you check yourself. It's not performing better when someone's watching, it's performing the same whether you're in front of thousands or alone in your room. That level of integrity isn't built overnight. It's forged every time you do the hard thing, when it would have been easier to opt out. It's built every time you keep your promise to yourself. But until that internal discipline is fully matured, external accountability is a powerful tool. Whether it's a mentor, a rival, a calendar, or a consequence, you need something that holds you in place when your motivation breaks down. That could be public goals, financial penalties, written contracts, or systems where if you fail, it hurts. Because pain is a teacher, and leveraged properly, it turns excuses into fuel. The reason most people never access their best is because they're surrounded by comfort and isolated from consequence. And the longer you go without real accountability, the easier it is to drift from who you said you'd become. But when you lock yourself into a structure where backing down isn't an option, when your standards are visible, your execution is tracked, and your fallback is gone, you stop negotiating with weakness. And that's when your best becomes consistent, not accidental. Not because it's easy, but because there's no room left to lie to yourself. Doing your best isn't about talent, luck, or waiting for the right moment. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to settle. It's a decision you make every day, to protect your energy, to silence distractions, to stay loyal to your process no matter how you feel. When you master that, the results stop being the focus. They become the byproduct. Because your best doesn't happen in flashes of motivation. It happens in quiet hours, in brutal honesty, in the moments you keep going when no one claps. If you're serious about becoming that version of yourself, lock this in. Build the system, kill the noise, detach from the outcome, and hold yourself to a standard that doesn't fold when things get hard. That's how legacies are built. If this message hit something deep, make sure you subscribe, drop a comment on what you're working to master, and share this with someone who needs it. Let's grow the mindset, let's raise the standard, and let's make doing your best the bare minimum.